Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vinesh Sukumaran, and I am the principal consultant at Bodhi Training Solutions. I will be running you through this 1 hour webinar. Our focus here really is to understand the trainer certifications that we have better. In fact, we have 3 trainer certifications: the Training Foundations course, the Train the Trainer certification, and the Master Trainer certification. So before I start taking your questions, just some housekeeping measures. You can ask me your questions through the chat screen, because typically when we put the audio on, it really slows down the connection on your end. So and I can see some of you have connected through phone. So if you have questions, you can put them on the chat screen, and I'll keep watching it closely and answer them. And you can hear. I hope you can hear me through your audio system. Okay. So while you get your questions together, just very quickly, this whole session is called finding answers and becoming a trainer. And those of you who are not familiar with Bodhi, we are in the business of organizational development, and our approach to OD is by providing training. We've also worked with over 1,000 clients. If you go to our website, www.bodhi.com, you will see an updated list of clients who we work with. We also have a very structured approach to training, which we train our participants on, those who attend our sessions. And all our workshops are hands-on, experiential. They're extremely participant-centered. So the idea is not, this is actually to get participants to use the newly built competence while they're in the session. And we are also an ISO company certified by this elite German body called TUV or TÜV Süd. Okay, so if you haven't been following us on the social media, you can go ahead and do that. That's our Facebook link. Likewise, we are also active on Twitter, LinkedIn. So you'll see us picking up a new topic and covering it over each week. Okay, so let me begin. I do have some questions here already on the screen, and those of you who have questions, you can please put them up here. I'll keep watching the screen, and I will answer the questions as they come along. Okay, so the first question that I have is from Laren, and Laren says, how important is it to be a certified trainer? Okay, so Laren, let me just tell you a couple of things. One is that see, there are 2 things in this. One is there's a certification. Okay, the second thing is your own competence. Now, participants. So we have 2 programs here. If you look on top, this is when I talk about the Train the Trainer certification, you'll be seeing this slide. Okay, and when I talk about the Training Foundations workshop, you will be seeing this slide. Yes, so this Training Foundations workshop is a workshop where you have a certification or certificate of completion, and the Train the Trainer certification workshop is where you have a certificate of competence. But in either case, to answer your question, Laren, I think both are important. What a certification does is it helps you get your foot in the door. I mean, Bodhi has about 75 to 100 trainers spread across the country. One of the questions that our clients keep asking us is your trainer certified? Is this person a certified trainer? They come and tell us things like, we want a program on assertiveness, we want the program, on the 10th of December. And the next thing they say is, do you have a trainer, and is the trainer certified? So many organizations do look for a certification, especially because training happens to be a field where a lot of people got in just because they discovered the field. Very few people grow up from, right from school thinking they're going to grow up and become trainers. So therefore the certification is important. But I'd also like to emphasize the focus of our workshop. While the Train the Trainer certification is a certification workshop, and you will be getting a certificate of competence, our focus really is on competency development. So which means to say, it doesn't matter what kind of certification you have. If you go to a client They're going to ask you certain things, and they're going to ask you to demonstrate your competence. If you're unable to do that, then your certification is not going to save your life. So the just to give you an example, we have a lot of our certified trainers who go out, and even yesterday I spoke to one of our recently certified trainers, and he said he'd gone to this company, this big IT company in Mumbai. I don't want to name them, and they decided to meet him because he had a Bodhi certification. After that, the next thing that they told him was, uh, we are happy with our conversation. Please come on Friday and do a demo session for us. Do a 1 hour session. Let's see how good you are. So that is something that in both these workshops we prepare you for. And that's where you get to demonstrate your competence. And if the client likes what they see, then they will obviously decide to work with you. If they don't, then they will decide to not work with you, and so on. Okay. So I hope that answers your question. I have another question here. This person has sent it to me privately, so I'm not going to I'm not going to broadcast the name. The question is, what are the areas which are covered in this 4-day train the trainer certification? Okay, so it's like this. There are actually two, there are two broad, what should I say, abilities that you might want to have as a trainer. One is a what to train ability. That is nothing but an area of training or domain expertise. And the other is a how to train ability, okay, which is your ability to facilitate, your ability to manage a group, impart learning, make sure people actually develop, and so on. So I see one or two of you have just arrived. Welcome. My name is Vinesh. We are in the process of answering questions, taking questions that you have on any of our trainer certifications, particularly the Training Foundations workshop and the Train the Trainer certification workshop. Okay. Yeah. So going back to this, the other ability is on how to train, how to facilitate a session. So both are important. This particular workshop that we conduct focuses on how to train. So, for example, in a session, you might have different sorts of trainers sitting in the same room. Okay, so you might have, like the last program I did, there was a leadership coach. There was one person who is an absolute newbie to training, somebody who's had some corporate experience and now wants to become a trainer. There was a guy who had about 20 years of training experience who was also in the room. Okay, but he was more of a technical trainer and now he wants to get into other areas of training. There was a lady who was she was a fresher. She just finished her master's and wanted to attend the workshop and now become a trainer. So she done her master's in HR and now she wants to get into training. There was somebody who was a voice and accent trainer. There was somebody who was a project management trainer. So it's a mix really. So the point is, this workshop is focused on how to train more effectively, irrespective of what your area of training or topic of training is. And certainly the other ability which I told you about, which is what to train, you will be getting a lot of inputs in identifying your own area of training, because if you go out there and tell somebody that you're a trainer, they're going to ask you this. They're going to ask you, what trainer? What do you train people on? So that's your area of expertise, or what I'd like to call the what to train area. And if you're able to spot the right area for you as a trainer, I think that's half the battle won. And the other half the battle is really about how to train more effectively, and that's something we'll be training and certifying you on during this session. Okay, so I see some of you have joined. If you have questions, please put them up on the chat screen. I'll be happy to answer them. Chaitra, Hamsa, Laren, Sudarshan. Okay. Okay. In the meantime, I have another question from the same person who sent this to me privately. The question is, how long do you think it would take me to become a successful trainer? And I have a past. Okay, let me just to simplify this question. So basically, this person says that she has a past experience in the field of customer service, and she wants to know how long it's going to take her to to make it in the field of training. Okay, so let me just share with you how it might actually work or unfold once you enter the field of training. The first thing is, I mean, I keep telling this to people who, I mean, I run many of the train the trainer workshops that we conduct, and it's a workshop that's only done by, uh, say, two or three trainers in the country, and I'm one of them, and we have two more master trainers. These are the only people who conduct this train the trainer workshop. It's not conducted by, I told you we have a pool of about 75 to 100 trainers. Any other trainer will not just walk in and conduct this workshop. It's conducted by, our core group of two or three, master trainers. So what about your past experience? See, the good thing about training is, irrespective of what your past experience is, whether you said you're saying that you've been in customer service, but whether you've been in customer service, whether you've been in sales, marketing, whether you've been in academia, uh, for that matter, if you've been a techie, I mean, in recent times we've had a lot of people from technical backgrounds also, moving into the field of training. So it doesn't matter what your past field is. When you move into training, it's actually a space to put together or bring together your entire past experience, and that's something that you can certainly expect to see. Because unlike any other field, like for example, if you get into something else, like say advertising, or if you get into sales, or you would literally be starting from scratch. Okay. However, in the field of training, it's a space where all your previous experience comes together. All right. So that's the advantage of the training space. And the other thing is, on how long will it take you to be successful as a trainer. Now, it depends upon a few things, and I can tell you all of them.St important thing is, depends upon what you're doing this for. I've met participants who've said, I'm really in this to make money. I'm really in this to because I'm passionate about it. I'm really in this because I like it. I have no other agenda. So when you're asking me this question, success would mean different things to different people. But looking at some of the top things, for example, to me, if I look at our pool of trainers, the successful trainers are doing some things. One is, they're doing a lot of training programs, no doubt about it. Second, they're quite sought after. So, which means if they've done a program in one organization, that organization is very happy to call them back. Okay, that's the second thing. And the third thing is, therefore, they're also making a lot of money as trainers. How long will it take for these three things to happen? If you are exclusively into training, which is what I suggest, so okay, if you're coming for this workshop, I think it's a great idea for you to come with the decision that you're going to transition into a career in training, and that's something that we can really help you do, because we've done it several times for many of our ex-participants who've moved successfully from whichever field they were into the field of training. So that's something that we can assure, and what we've noticed is that there are people who've done it in 1 month. Like, I spoke to somebody 2-3 days ago. I don't want to mention that person's name. He just did he did a workshop last month, and he's already on the verge of doing an assignment which is about 40,000 a day, and it's a 5-day intervention. So which is about 40,000 into 5, roughly about 2 lakhs. So there are people like that who have the drive and who are at it. And on the other hand, I can also give you examples of people who, like, I remember this lady who's been a teacher, and she came for this workshop. Her idea was to do something light, and she's good, financially very stable. She quit her. She was in working for many years. Her husband had a great job, and he's also retired. So she wants to really do something light. And for such people, she does 2 or 3 programs in a month, and she's quite happy with it. So if your drive is to achieve like what I told you, to do many programs, to be a sought after trainer, to make money doing it, that's something that you can certainly expect to see if you've attended our train the trainer workshop and been certified by us. Because there are a lot of secrets in this game, which will make you a successful trainer. And that is pretty much that's one of the big agendas of getting somebody to attend this workshop, is to share those secrets with them. And these are secrets that even Bodhi is using even as I'm speaking to you now. All right. So I hope that answers your question. I have another question here. This question says that I understand this workshop expects me to become okay. I don't think that is expects. I think that this workshop ensures that I become a trainer. What else does it certify me to do? Okay, so here are the things which the certification will help you cover. One is the workshop certifies you to definitely become a trainer. That's one thing. Okay. Second thing is the certification helps you understand the entire training cycle. So for example, if you go, let me look at the really simple version of it would be a client calling you and saying, we need a program for one day, and can we do this one of the days next week? It's very likely that you don't know really the backdrop, why they're doing it, what's the larger picture, what they're trying to achieve. But what you're also getting certified for is being an effective presenter, ensuring learning, understanding the entire training cycle. And we follow a model called as ADDIE. Okay, it's A stands for analysis, D stands for design, the second D stands for development, the I stands for implementation, and E stands for evaluation. So you understand the entire training cycle. So you could also go into a company, go into an organization, work with a team or a department, take them through the entire journey of competency development, moving them from point A to point B effectively through the use of training, or by using training as a tool or an instrument to do that. Okay, that's something you'll be certified in. Okay, I see one or two questions coming here. Let me just finish the answer to this question. It also certifies you for each of these stages. So for example, training need analysis. That's one of the things it certifies you for. It certifies you for customization and training design. It certifies you for content development. It certifies you for implementation or delivering, ensuring effective training delivery. It certifies you for evaluating training programs and checking if they were effective. And finally, even using special techniques like accelerated learning in your training programs. So these are the things that the certification entails. We have another question here, which is the certification globally recognized? Okay, so this is a question that quite a few people ask us, and quite often. So here are the things. Bodhi has worked with 1,000+ clients. Okay, and if you are on this webinar, I presume that you are, and also by looking at your names, I presume that you are in India. Okay, and most of these 1,000 clients, I must confess, are from India. Though we have done work in the Middle East, in Singapore, in Sri Lanka, and so on. And in recent times, we've had a lot of people from other countries, including places like Papua New Guinea, coming to Bangalore or to Mumbai or to some city in India where we run the workshop to get a Bodhi certification, including places in Africa. We've had people from places like Nigeria coming to Bangalore to get certified, places from places like Russia, from the Middle East, from Australia. So, in fact, the recent workshop that I did, which got over last week, we had a person from Kuala Lumpur, who came to Bangalore to get certified. So the point is that they all see the value in the certification, and importantly, Since we worked with 1,000+ clients, these 1,000+ clients have heard Bodhi's name. And if you go tell them that you have a Bodhi certification, obviously they recognize that this is from a company that's seriously into training. The other thing is, even Bodhi as an organization, we are quite well optimized on the internet, and I have no qualms admitting that. So I'm sure even all of you sitting here on this call, at some point or the other, have found us on the internet. And that's exactly what happens, because nowadays, even when people have a stomach ache, they go onto the internet and search for, causes of stomach ache, or what could be the reason behind it. That being the case, the moment somebody searches for training or training in India, or something related to training, related to competency development, even somebody out of these beyond these 1,000 clients, who 1,000+ clients we worked with, would have definitely seen Bodhi's name again and again and again on Google. And therefore, when you say you have a Bodhi certification, it certainly holds water. And the last point is, which I'd like to make about the certification being globally recognized, is that the dynamics of competency development hardly change from country to country. So we have repeatedly had, in fact, recently we had somebody come from a nuclear plant in Saudi Arabia who was recommended the Bodhi program by his manager, who's sitting in the Middle East. So who said, go to Bangalore or go to India and get certified by Bodhi. So the reason they do that is because they have seen other people who have the same certification, who've gone there and demonstrated a good level of training competence. And that's something we constantly assure our participants, that you can come for a workshop. One thing you can be assured of beyond the certification and the piece of paper, which every certificate literally is, one thing you can be assured of is you can enter the field of training and be successful in the field. because you'll learn the secrets and also be able to demonstrate training competence. That's something that's a promise that we are quite comfortable making. Okay. All right. So I have another question here. This let me just read out this question. What are the elements of effective training delivery that are covered in the 4 days certification program? Okay, so I don't know if you've looked at, if you go to our website, trainthetrainercertification.in, you will see a breakup of what gets covered on each day. Okay, but to answer your question, let me just pick up the elements of training delivery alone. So the first point that I'd like to make is, there are many trainer certifications out there which focus almost exclusively on training delivery. Okay, one of the things that makes the Bodhi certification unique is that it's beyond just training delivery. Because increasingly, I mean, one of my observations, I've been in training for many years now, and one of my observations is that the actual training delivery is becoming less and less and less critical. For example, if there's a department or a team which has a problem, and the problem actually is interpersonal skills. Now, the trainer goofs up when it comes to the training need analysis and does not identify interpersonal skills as the area to train, but instead of that does language training for them, or instead of that does some sort of leadership development training for them. Now what happens is, the real issue is interpersonal skills, and you might do a leadership program, get some very good feedback, and participants are really happy, you also feel good about it, but in the end you go back, the problems that existed before continue to be there. So therefore, the training delivery is a critical part, but it's a critical part provided you do the other parts well. So that's one of the qualities of our program. Okay, I see one or two more questions. I'll let me just finish the answer to this. So what is it that's covered with respect to training delivery? One element that's covered is, as a trainer, you will have to stand up in front of groups and convey your idea effectively so that they learn things. They're able to not just learn it, but also demonstrate what they learn in actual skill and ability. That is something which is covered in an entire section called presentation dynamics. The second thing is, there are also various ways in which training can happen. For example, through role plays, through activities, through the use of videos, through exercises, okay, through group discussions. Our participants get to learn all these things, and not just learn them conceptually, but also get to use them. Okay, so for your information, every participant who comes for our Train the Trainer certification gets video recorded. These recordings are analyzed and also later shared with the participant themselves. Okay, so the next part is that we also have an exclusive section which happens on day 3 of the program, which primarily focuses on training delivery effectiveness. We cover things like learning theories. There are certain ways in which the brain learns, and if a trainer knows this, he can ensure that people learn, remember, and are able to reproduce and demonstrate ability. Okay, so there's an entire section on that, and also things like activity design. If you want to just do an activity based training, many trainers are clueless as to how to design an original activity. Those are things that are covered in Bodhi's Train the Trainer certification. Okay, I have a question here from Hamsa, who says, how far the foundation course will help me to start a career? Okay, so Hamsa, let me just make a distinction between the Training Foundations workshop and the Train the Trainer certification workshop. One important distinction is that the Training Foundations workshop focuses on the fundamentals, all right, of learning, of competency building, okay, of self-development, okay, and the Train the Trainer certification focuses on the entire training cycle. Okay, so this is one distinction. Both of them provide different kinds of value which will help you start a career. So first of all, both programs will help you start a career very successfully. How will the foundation course help you, and how far will it help you? Well, we have had, just to answer that question with an example, we have people who've just attended the foundation course and who are very successful trainers out there. Okay, and in fact, many of those people have come back and attended even the Train the Trainer, because they realize that if a 2-day foundation course can teach me so much, imagine what a 4-day certification program can do for me. So many of those people have come back and attended the certification program. Okay, what it will help you do? First of all, it will help you understand what does it mean to develop somebody's competency. What's the difference between training and teaching, for example. There are many people who call themselves trainers, but they are just teachers, in the sense that they just share knowledge with people. There is no assurance that these people who they share the knowledge with are able to go back and use it. So training is unique in that sense because it focuses on making sure people are able to demonstrate new ability, develop and demonstrate new ability, after your training session. That is something that you will definitely be, you know, grilled into understanding, and you will be able to demonstrate after the foundation course. So, and in fact, just to tell you, Hamsa, we have had some trainers who come to the foundation course saying, I've been training for 15 years, but I remember these two gentlemen in Hyderabad, both had about 10 to 15 years of training experience. They said, we just said we will come and understand what's happening in a foundations course. That was their only intention of coming for that program. When they came for the program, they went out at the end of day 2. I asked them, how did you find the program? Because you said you have 10 to 15 years of training experience and you just came here to understand what happens in a foundation course. How do you feel now? And they said there are so many things about training which they did not know and did not use in the 10 to 15 years, which they learned in these 2 days. And they realized that about 70% of what they were doing, and these are not my words, these are their words, 70% of what they were doing was just talking to participants, sharing information with them. And sharing information is not the entire gambit of training. Training is about developing new ability. And that's what you will certainly take back from the Training Foundations course, and which means, Hamsa, when you come for this program, because you understand these secrets, it straight away puts you in the top 10 to 15% of trainers in the country, or I don't know, perhaps even in the world. Okay. I have another question here. Okay, so this question says, what is covered in the train the trainer certification which is not covered in the training foundations course? Okay, so like I mentioned, both these courses are different. Okay, the focus of the course is different. They have their own unique takeaways. Both will help you in their own right. What is covered in the certification which is not covered in the training foundations course? One thing which is covered in the certification is there's something called as the ADDIE model, which is covered, which I just told you stands for analyze, design, develop, implement, and evaluate. All right. There's something called as presentation dynamics, which is covered, accelerated learning, learning techniques. All these things are covered in the Train the Trainer certification. There's also a certification assessment which happens at the end of the Train the Trainer certification. All right. However, in the training foundations course, the focus is really to understand how people learn and develop new ability. And that's been a great takeaway for many of our participants who've been able to take back what they what they learned and apply it with actual people out there on the field. So that's what makes the training foundations course unique. In fact, I must also add that at each stage, time is spent in the train the trainer certification to understand and demonstrate each stage of the process and demonstrate not by just the Bodhi trainer, but also get participants to demonstrate the newly learned competencies. So just to give you an example, if we have a section on training need identification, which means talking to a client, whether it's an individual, a department head, or a team of people, or maybe just the head of a company, like the general manager or a managing director or something like that. You will understand what exactly is the nature of the conversation that you need to have in order for that conversation to end in the identification of certain areas of training. All right. And after that, each participant in the program gets to practice this, gets to do this with somebody else in the room or maybe with the trainer, gets to practice training need identification so that once they go back from the program, if when they meet a client, they know exactly how to go about it. so that's a flavor which you will find in both these workshops. Both the workshops are practical, they're very experiential, they're application oriented, and there's no doubt about the fact that you will be learning and demonstrating new competence through the course of this workshop. Okay. Uh, I have another question here. This question basically says, by the way, those of you who came in, if you have questions, please put them up on the chat screen. Okay, so you have a chat window, type your questions out there, and I will be watching the chat screen, and I'm happy to answer your questions because the focus of this entire workshop is for you to find answers, and the best way to find answers is to is to ask the questions. Okay, all right. So here's another question. The question says, how many practice sessions will I have in the Train the Trainer certification workshop? Okay, so here's how it is. The 4-day workshop, the four-day Train the Trainer certification workshop has several practice sessions. Now the question is, what are these practice sessions? For example, if you looked at our outline, day one, first half, there's something called presentation dynamics which gets covered. You will get to learn new things about presentation, your ability to present effectively to an audience, and get to practice it right there. Now that's a practice session. Within that, or if I just move out of that to the next part, say I was telling you about the ADDIE model, and the first part is training need identification. This has many small pieces. For example, if you want to identify training needs, you need to ask the right questions. So we have a small practice session on creating and asking the right questions. Then we have a practice session on observation skills. How do you observe a group or a team or an individual and identify training needs? So you have a practice session on that. You have a simulation on if what we do is we actually pick up a case where Bodhi has worked with, one of the clients who Bodhi has worked with recently, and participants in the program get to ask questions and identify training needs. So that's a simulation, which is another practice session. So you see, the entire program is packed with practice sessions, applications, practical illustration and demonstration of newly built competence. And this is spread across 4 days. And most importantly, on the last day of the Train the Trainer certification, every participant will deliver what we call as a capsule module. So what is this capsule module? It's like this. If you go to a client tomorrow, let's assume you're somebody who doesn't have any training experience. Okay, you're an absolute fresher to the field, and you go to a client and you say, I'm a trainer. You pitch yourself. They'll ask you what type of trainer, and you say, I'm a trainer on, say, stress management. And they say, great, we have a lot of people who are stressed and we want you to come and do a workshop for us, and you do a training need identification, all those things. The client will definitely ask you to come there and deliver a capsule module, because training is a field where you cannot judge the quality of a trainer by talking to him on the phone, or by looking at his profile or his CV, or checking him out on LinkedIn, or or merely through references, because a lot of times references are just the reference is just a game. You are giving the reference of somebody who's bound to say nice things about you. So what happens is, in the 4-day Train the Trainer certification workshop, we equip our participants to be able to deliver this capsule module well. And there are certain things, I mean, time and again, our own trainers, they have to go to new clients. I mean, irrespective, in spite of the experience that, Bodhi has as a training and organizational development company, a new client we work with wants to understand our ability. So even though we tell this person is a trainer, he's been with Bodhi for the past 5 years, he's done all these programs, the client will say, great, can he come tomorrow afternoon and do a 1-hour session for us? And to be able to do that session well is what we will also be preparing you for. So tomorrow when you go out into the market, you know what it takes, and we have over the years realized what will make a good capsule module and what will make a good demo session. And we will be, I mean, once you learn that, I'm sure you will be able to repeat the same success story for yourself. Also, I must add, those of you on this webinar who are internal training managers, or internal training professionals, if you're a training manager, if you're a VP training, or if you're an internal trainer, assistant manager, L&D, executive, whatever, uh, our internal training, say the workforce who has attended our Train the Trainer certification, one thing which they've always benefited from is they start understanding training so well that they're able to deal with their vendors better. They're able to deal with their trainers better. They are able to understand training from, they're able to see training in new light, and therefore use training effectively as a means for organizational development, as a means for, making sure the organization achieves its goals and so on. So that's something that I think you'll take back from this workshop. And I hope that answers your question on the practical dimensions of training. Okay, I have a couple of questions here. Okay, let me just take these two questions. We have about 20 minutes left. If you have any other questions, please put them up on the chat screen. I'll be happy to answer them. You can just type out your question on the chat screen, because I'm watching the screen very closely. So if you have a question, put it up on the chat screen. I'll answer it, and I do have 1 or 2 questions here again. Okay. Okay, Hamza, at some point earlier in the conversation, you said, "Can you make me the presenter?" I mean, any particular reason? Would you like to talk about something, Hamza? If you would like to, just put it on the chat screen. I'm reading it. Okay, another question that we have here is about the foundation course. Okay, it says, how well will I understand competencies after attending the 2-day foundation course or the 2-day foundation workshop. So this workshop, first of all, is called the Training Foundations Workshop. Let me just, what I find most valuable, or what I've seen in our past Training Foundations participants in terms of the value that they've taken back from the workshop is this. What they've been able to do is that normally a trainer, many trainers out there actually, they're not quite aware of whether they're working with knowledge, whether they're working with skills, whether they're working with aptitude, whether they're working with attitude, whether they're working with behavior, and so on. So what happens is when you're trying to help somebody or work with someone or work with a team and helping, when you're trying to make them get better, one of the challenges that's constantly faced is your effort is sort of dispersed. The effort that you put in as a trainer is diluted because you're putting in a lot of effort thinking that this guy needs to know, or this lady you're training needs to know something new, which means you're focusing on knowledge, and you realize that he or she knows all the things that needs to be known, but the problem is he or she is not able to demonstrate that, and this is a real problem out there. And I see a lot of people facing this challenge. For example, we all know that it's a good idea to be polite. We all know that kindness is an important quality. We all know that we should not get angry. It's not a great thing. We all know that it's a good idea to be relaxed, calm, in control of your work, in control of your life. We know all these things. The problem is a lot of us are not able to demonstrate that. A lot of us are not able to live into that idea. A lot of us are not able to walk the talk. That is something that you will take back from the Training Foundations workshop. So what you will take back is, so to answer your question, how well will I understand competencies? You will start understanding competencies and appreciating competencies from that level, from the level of the competency being something which is a combination of different smaller pieces. And if you understand these pieces, then you understand the whole better. So that's really like how I'd like you to see it. And that's something which you can certainly help, or rather expect to take back after you've attended the 2-day Training Foundations workshop. In fact, I must also share with you, there are some participants who've come and told me after the Training Foundations workshop that they really are able to see the difference between what they were doing earlier and what they're doing now. Not only in themselves, they're also able to see the difference in participants. The participants they are training now are are getting much better, and results are getting much better in terms of ability compared to they were earlier. In fact, I remember this one person who came for our Training Foundations workshop. She's somebody who used to train people to crack some of these exams. These basically these language exams like a TOEFL and IELTS, and there are a lot of them. This what do you call, test of business English, and so on. I don't want to name all of them, but and what happens is the ultimate test of how well you've done. And by the way, it's not just a knowledge-based test. It's also an ability-based test, which means it is not just about do you know the words in English. It's about do you have the skill to put it together. Do you have the behavior which is required to sit and have a proper conversation? Okay, do you have the skill to listen to a conversation and answer questions based on it? So it is at the end of the day a competence. So she came back and, or not came back, she sent me an email later telling me that not only has the way she trains them changed, but also her hit rate has changed. The number of her participants who are getting higher scores on a TOEFL and IELTS have gone up. The number of our participants who are able to crack these tests and go abroad have gone up, and so on. So in terms of producing results, you can certainly expect to see a huge change in your ability after attending the the training foundations workshop. Okay, I have another question here. Okay, we just have about 13 or 14 minutes left. Okay, we have another question here which says, will there be any support provided post train the trainer? Okay, so let me just share with you some of the support that we provide for our certified participants. First of all, the I must tell you that we as an organization, Bodhi as an organization, provides a lot of support to the training community at large, not just to our participants. So somebody who's attended our Train the Trainer workshop, okay, the kind of support that we provide them, first important thing is we make sure that the person goes through the entire certification process, all right, including giving them details about their video. Each participant receives a detailed feedback report talking about their strengths as trainers and their areas of development as trainers. Their video recordings are shared with them. Each participant is provided with 50 ready-made, ready-to-deliver modules. And what I mean by this is, when I say a ready-made module, I'm not talking about a 10-minute, 15-minute, or a 30-minute module. No. Each of these is a 4-hour module, and it has all the things necessary, or all the items necessary for you to go out there and deliver a successful 4-hour training session. And like this, there are 50 of them. So essentially, you have about 4 hours into 50. You have about 200 hours of training on various kinds of topics, okay, which would help. And we've actually paid attention to pick out those topics which will help any kind of an audience, any kind of an organization work in any country, and so on. Okay, so that's another thing that we provide. And by the way, these 50 modules has, when I say it has all the items, what I mean is it has a presentation. That means it has PPT, it has a trainer's, it has a participant manual. If you have any activities or exercises, then it has those activity or exercise sheets. If there's a video or audio used, then it has that. So it has everything necessary for you to deliver it. The other support that we provide is we make our participants part of a Google group. Okay, so we have a closed, shall I say, an elite group of trainers called Bodhi Certified Trainers. So we have a group called Bodhi Certified Trainers. So you will be made part of this group, and from time to time you will receive updates about what's happening at Bodhi. You will receive articles. In fact, just the week before last, we had invited all of our participants from the Bodhi certified group to send in articles which we will put up on the blog. And in fact, I think if you read our blog this week, you will see links or you will see some of our participants who have contributed to the blog. Okay, writing about, I think the topic they wrote about was motivation. So you will be made part of this group, and it's a great way to stay connected. The other thing that we do is we also make you part of a group, so we managed 2 or 3 WhatsApp groups, okay, and there's a huge pool of trainers in each of these groups. Okay, it's not a group with 10 or 15 people. In fact, I think a couple of these groups are already full. With the maximum number of people you can have on a WhatsApp group is, I think, about 256. Okay, so we manage a couple of WhatsApp groups, and you will be made part of this group. How does this help you? You will get to know of various kinds of training opportunities which are available in the market. Full-time roles, part-time roles, freelance opportunities, opportunities to go out there and train as a consultant. You'll get to know all these things. And many of our participants have benefited from just being able to tap into this, just being able to know who's looking for what where. Not only that, there are a lot of people who are certified participants who become trainers. Suddenly they're going for a program tomorrow and they're thinking, oh God, there's an activity required for a group of 50. I've only done activities for groups of 20. So somebody's putting up a question saying, what activity can I do for a group of 50? Any suggestions? And there are a lot of people making suggestions, and that's captured and the person is using it, and so on. So you'll be made part of this group. The other important thing is, once you go through either our training foundations workshop or the train the trainer certification workshop, you will be, I'm sure, when you go out there and start applying what you learn, At different stages, you might have different questions. As we grow in our careers, we all have questions. Bodhi as an organization constantly supports its participants. You can get back in touch with us and ask us your questions, and we will be able to answer them. Like, for example, this session that we are doing is an indicator of the kind of support that we might provide to our participants. So I want to just reiterate that Bodhi provides a lot of support even to people who have not done any program with Bodhi, not been our clients, not attended any of our sessions, people who just call us and have some question or have some clarification. So for participants who attend our session, we certainly provide all the kind of support that they need in order to launch themselves successfully into a career in training, or even if they're already in training and they have questions, or if they are training managers somewhere and they have some clarifications, we go ahead and help them. Okay. Um, so I have about 8 more minutes left. So if you have any more questions, you can please put them up on the chat screen. I'm happy to answer them. So I have a question here. This is a question which says, okay, Laren says, that's great. Thanks, Laren. I'm glad you found that answer useful. What is the caliber of participants who attend the foundation course and the certification workshop? Okay, so I think I had mentioned this briefly earlier, but let me just go through this once more. See, like I said, in training, there's a what to train dimension and a how to train dimension. This workshop or these workshops are, they do focus on how to train more effectively. Okay. Therefore, your topic of training or your area of training is not of that much significance. And if we take a regular program that we conduct, we have all kinds of trainers, different types of trainers sitting in the room. So to just give you an idea of the kind of people who have attended the session in the past, like we've had this, I remember this guy who, just finished college, became a lawyer, and decided that he didn't want to pursue law, he wanted to become a trainer, and he attended our session and he was certified by us. I remember this lady who, she's a chartered accountant, and not just a chartered accountant, she was, I think, the top first or second or third rank holders in the country in the CA final exam. But interestingly, she finished that and she realized that she wants to do training on finance for other companies. So she attended our workshop and she's been certified by us. We've had army officers attend our workshops and go through the session. We've had captains from different capacities attend our workshop. We have had principals of schools attend our workshops and get certified by us. We have also had some technical trainers from different domains. I remember one gentleman. He's a technical trainer in a very niche area from the aircraft industry, and he's into aircraft maintenance and those sort of things. And he travels around the world and trains people. So we've had people like that attend our session. We have had people who are project management trainers. We've had people who are training on, who are training in call centers. There are different kinds of trainers in call centers. Like we've had process trainers attend our workshop. We have had voice and accent trainers. We have had the general soft skills trainers. We've also had a lot of psychologists, psychologists and counselors who realize that, after attending the workshop, it will help them move into training and working with larger groups. We have had image consultants who attended our workshops. So there's a huge mix of people, So I hope that gives you a sense of the kind of people and the range of the audience. Okay. All right. I have another question here. This question basically says that. So this question says that if I'm a trainer on IT, will I learn things which I can apply to the field of IT? Okay, so see, the thing is, you could be an IT trainer, and I don't know what specific area of IT you train on. Okay, so let me tell you how the previous IT trainers have benefited. Now, if you're an IT trainer, you obviously have a domain. Either you're training people on Java or C++ or SAP or some tool like Oracle or or some ERP or whatever it is. So what dimension of IT? Obviously, this program will not be able to contribute much to your domain. Okay, this is one thing. Secondly, how will it help you? Like recently, we'd done this workshop for a group of IT guys. They're all technical trainers for a company. I don't want to name them, but they're all IT trainers. And they said the biggest takeaway was there were some boring parts of the training which they used to conduct, which were very technical, very content heavy. Participants used to get bored when that's happening and so on. And they realized that those portions of the program, they had no way of running it differently. And after they attended our session, attended our train the trainer certification, what they realized was they were able to make those sessions more interesting, make those sessions more engaging, also get participants to go through this session with a lot of what should I say, enthusiasm and interest. So what happens is, instead of going through a 1.5 hour dull session which is talking about terms and their definitions, these IT trainers learned, how do I make this entire thing into an activity, so that they might spend about 1 hour instead of 1.5 hours, learn the same thing much better in a shorter duration of time, and more importantly also remember what they learned. Okay, so those are the sort of things which you can take back as an IT trainer. Also, I'm just sharing this with you. Many technical trainers who've come for our sessions, they have gone out of the program realizing that nothing keeps them locked or restricts them to just being in a purely technical domain. So we have had, I remember this lady from an organization, she was an SME, she was a subject matter expert in one of the technical areas. She came for a workshop because she had to train small groups of 2 and 3 people from time to time. But she realized that there's so much of potential out there that if you register for this workshop and attend the 4 days or the 2 day foundation workshop, what you take back will make you a good trainer in any domain. So for example, if you're working with a group of IT guys who are not motivated, nothing stops you from running a short motivation session for them. Or if you're working with a group of technical professionals who are really worked up and they really what should I say, in a high pressure job, nothing stops you from designing, developing and delivering a short stress management session for them, or a short session on relaxation for them, because you know how to do because you've learned the dynamics of how to train effectively rather than merely just what to train. Okay. So those are some of the things. In fact, let me see here. So I still have 1 minute left. So if you have any other questions, please put them up here. I'm happy to just watch the screen and answer your questions. Okay, if you don't, then the contact details are here, but I still have a minute to go, or about a minute to go. So if you have any more questions, I'm still here. I'm happy to answer them. Hamsa, Laren, Sudarshan, Agarkar. Okay, Hamsa says, thank you, Vinesh. You're welcome, Hamsa. I hope you found the session useful. Okay, so I'm glad to know. I hope you found the session useful. I think on that note, I will sign off. I look forward to seeing you in the workshops when if you do register and if you come for it. Okay. Have a good evening and have a good rest of the week. And if you do have any other questions, do get in touch with us. The contact details are on the screen. I'll leave it here for a minute. Okay. Thank you very much. I'm signing off.